The xenobiology classroom had that particular sterile smell that suggested everything interesting had been carefully removed, sterilized, and locked in containment pods. Vextal stood at the front, his 4 eyes scanning the tiered seating where 23 students sat with the eager desperation of people who'd paid too much for this course. His membrane plates glowed a calm blue. Today's lecture: Basic Taxonomy of Non-Sentient Species. The door slid open. Mallory walked in, carrying a floating anti-gravity carrier, the kind used for transporting biological samples, or groceries. She smiled and waved with her free hand. "Sorry I'm late. Had to feed the kids." Vextal's upper pair of eyes blinked independently of his lower pair. His tail gave a single questioning twitch. "I was not aware you had offspring enrolled in this station's education program." "Oh, not human kids." Mallory set the carrier down with a soft thunk. "I meant these little guys." She tapped the carrier's transparent side. 3 small, furry shapes stirred inside, each about the size of a Terran house cat. They had round faces, oversized eyes, and tiny paws. One yawned, revealing a pink tongue. The classroom collectively exhaled. "Oh." A Quellet student in the 3rd row, all crystalline angles and chiming movements, leaned forward. "What species are they?" "No idea," Mallory said cheerfully. "Found them on a derelict ship last week. Figured I'd bring them to class. You know, educational purposes." Vextal's membrane plates flickered from blue to orange. Just briefly. His tail coiled once around his ankle, then loosened. "You found them on a derelict." "Yeah, the Meridian Prospect. Whole crew was gone. These little guys were just curled up in the cargo bay all alone. Couldn't just leave them, right?" "The Meridian Prospect." Vextal's vertical mouth slit narrowed. His lower eyes focused on the carrier, while his upper eyes remained on Mallory. He took 3 careful steps forward, moving with the precise caution of someone approaching a bomb. Inside the carrier, one of the cubs stretched. Its fur rippled. For just a moment, less than a second, something showed beneath: ridge patterns, segmented plating, the distinctive hexagonal scales of a... Vextal's membranes flashed red. "Everyone," his voice came out perfectly level. "Please stand and move to the exit in an orderly fashion." The Quellet student laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "But we just started. Now." No one moved. Students exchanged confused glances. Mallory crouched next to the carrier, making soft, cooing noises. One of the cubs pressed against the transparent wall, its face squishing adorably. A Heptarian student, 2 rows back, actually clutched her chest with both hands. "It's so cute. What does it eat?" "Mostly jerky," Mallory said. "I've been feeding them dried meat from the commissary. They go through like 5 pounds a day, which seems like a lot for babies, but I figure they're growing. 5 pounds per cub." Vextal's tail had coiled completely around his left leg. "Daily." "Yeah, little garbage disposals," Mallory grinned. "Want to see them? They're super friendly." "No," Vextal said. "You sure? I think they'd..." "Absolutely not." Mallory shrugged and opened the carrier anyway. 3 small, furry creatures tumbled out onto the classroom floor. They rolled, play-fighting with each other, making high-pitched chirping sounds. One pounced on its sibling's tail. Another one sneezed. 17 students abandoned their seats and rushed down to the floor level. "Oh, my stars! They're precious!" "Can I hold one?" "Look at the little paws!" The Heptarian student reached down. The nearest cub sniffed her hand with its tiny nose, then opened its mouth to accept pets. For just an instant, less than a heartbeat, the mouth opened too wide, revealed too many teeth. Rows of them, serrated and curved inward. The student froze, hand hovering. The cub's mouth closed. It licked her fingers. She melted. "I would die for you," she whispered. Vextal's membranes strobed red-orange-red. His tail had progressed to coiling around both legs. "Students, move away from the—" One of the cubs bounded toward him. It moved with playful, clumsy energy, tripping over its own paws. Vextal stepped backward. His lower eyes tracked its trajectory, while his upper eyes remained locked on its shoulder blades, where the fur sat just wrong, where something underneath shifted with each movement. The cub reached his feet and sat down, staring up at him with enormous, innocent eyes. "See," Mallory walked over and scooped it up, cradling it against her chest. "They're sweethearts. This one's Buttons. The spotted one is Muffin. And that's Sergeant Fluffbottom." "You named them." Vextal's voice remained flat. "Well, yeah. Couldn't just call them Hey You forever." The cub, Buttons, nuzzled into Mallory's jacket. Its tiny paws kneaded against her collarbone. One claw extended just slightly too far, punching a small hole in the fabric. Mallory didn't notice. A male Veltorian student approached, membranes glowing curious yellow. "What's its homeworld?" "No clue. Probably somewhere with lots of forests. They like to climb." Mallory gestured with her free hand. "Sergeant Fluffbottom got onto the top of my storage cabinet yesterday. Little escape artist." The student reached out to pet Buttons. "May I?" "Stop!" Vextal's tail uncoiled. He crossed the distance in 4 strides, putting himself between the student and Mallory. His membranes pulsed red in sharp, rhythmic bursts. "Everyone return to your seats immediately. This is not a request." The tone did it. Students backed away, confused murmurs spreading through the group. The Quellet student's crystalline structure chimed with anxiety. Mallory frowned. "Is something wrong?" Vextal's 4 eyes focused on her with complete attention. His membrane plates had settled into solid, unwavering crimson. "Miss Mallory, how long have you had these cubs?" "About 6 days." "Why? And in that time, have they exhibited any unusual behaviors?" "Define unusual." Mallory shifted Buttons to her other arm. "I mean, Muffin keeps trying to eat my boots. But puppies do that too, right?" "Your boots." Vextal's vertical mouth barely moved. "Made of reinforced synthetic polymer." "Yeah, I had to put them in the closet." She chewed through the laces. One of the other cubs, Muffin, presumably, had discovered a metal stylus on the floor. She picked it up in her mouth, bit down, and the stylus bent. She spat it out, disappointed. No one else saw it. They were all watching Vextal, who looked like a person having a very calm, very controlled nervous breakdown. "Class dismissed," he said quietly. "But we—" "Now." Students filed out, casting backward glances at the cubs. The Heptarian student waved goodbye to Sergeant Fluffbottom, who chirped and waved back with one tiny paw. The door sealed. Mallory stood alone with Vextal, still holding Buttons. "Did I do something wrong?" "I checked the station pet policy. It says small, non-sentient creatures are allowed with proper documentation." "The Meridian Prospect," Vextal said, each word deliberate, "was not derelict. It was evacuated during a Code Black biohazard incident." "Oh," Mallory blinked. "Nobody mentioned that. The crew abandoned ship because something got loose in their cargo bay. Something they'd been transporting from the Vexlar quarantine zone." His membrane plates flickered between red and white. "They sent out a distress beacon. 47 rescue ships refused to respond." Buttons yawned again. This time, the mouth kept opening and opening. The jaw unhinged with a soft click. Rows of serrated teeth spiraled down into a throat that seemed far too deep for such a small creature. Mallory glanced down. "Oh, big yawn, buddy. You tired?" The mouth closed. Buttons sneezed. Vextal's tail coiled around his waist. "Those are not cubs. They're babies. Look at them." "They are juvenile Caravex." His voice dropped lower, membrane plates pulsing like a heartbeat. "Apex predators. Adult specimens reach 14 feet. They can bite through starship hulls. Their saliva contains a paralytic neurotoxin. One adult Caravex can depopulate a colony of 5,000 in under 6 hours. Mallory looked at Buttons, who was trying to eat his own tail. This little guy? In approximately 30 days. Yes. Huh. She set Buttons down. He immediately pounced on Sergeant Fluffbottom, who squeaked and rolled away. They tumbled across the floor, chirping. They seem pretty harmless right now. Vexthal's membrane plates went white. The door burst open. Director Kaylin stood in the entrance, her membrane plates strobing red so fast they appeared pink. Her tail thrashed behind her. Both arms pointed at the cubs, then at Mallory, then back at the cubs. Her vertical mouth opened, closed, opened again. No, sound came out. "Director!" Mallory smiled. "Perfect timing, I was just—" Kaylin's membranes flashed white. She remained standing, but her 4 eyes had glazed over, focusing on nothing. Her tail went rigid. Vexthal caught her before she toppled. "Breathe, Director!" Muffin wandered over and sniffed Kaylin's boot. The director's eyes focused with sudden, terrible clarity. She looked down, looked at Muffin's round, innocent face, at her tiny paws, at the adorable way her head tilted to one side. "Get it away," Kaylin whispered. "Get it away, get it away, get it." "She's friendly," Mallory scooped up Muffin, who chirped happily. "See? Just a baby." Kaylin's membranes cycled through 17 different colors in 3 seconds. Director Kaylin's membrane plates settled on a pale, sickly yellow, the Veltorian equivalent of someone trying very hard not to vomit. She straightened, smoothing her administrative vest with both hands. Her tail remained coiled so tight it trembled. "Miss Mallory." Her voice came out perfectly professional. "I need you to very slowly, very carefully, place the creature back in the carrier." "Sure." Mallory set Muffin down. Muffin immediately tried to climb her leg. "Oh, she's being clingy today. Hang on." She peeled Muffin off, tiny claws leaving small tears in her pants, and deposited her in the carrier. Buttons and Sergeant Fluffbottom followed, tumbling over each other. Within seconds, all 3 had curled into a pile of fur and were snoring softly. Kaylin stared at them. Her upper eyes twitched. "How? How what? How are you alive?" Mallory blinked. "I mean, I eat regularly, stay hydrated." Vexthal's tail loosened slightly. "Director, the human appears to have established a pack bond with—" "I am aware of what she's established." Kaylin's membranes flashed red. "I am also aware that this is a Category 5 biohazard incident, that we are required by Galactic Council regulation to evacuate this entire sector, and that I now have to file approximately 900 emergency reports." She turned to Mallory. "You said you found them on the Meridian Prospect?" "Yeah. Like I told Professor Vexthal, the crew was gone. Ship was just floating there." "The crew was not gone, they fled." Kaylin pulled up a holographic display from her wrist terminal. Ship records scrolled past. "The Meridian Prospect was transporting a Caravex breeding pair from the Vexlar quarantine zone to a research facility. The pair escaped, killed 6 crew members. The remaining crew abandoned ship and are currently in therapy on Outpost Kepler 7. "Oh," Mallory frowned. "That's awful. But these guys didn't kill anyone." "They were 3 days old. They hadn't developed their venom yet. And now they're 9 days old and still haven't bitten anyone." Mallory crossed her arms. "Look, I know they're supposedly dangerous, but I've been living with them for almost a week. They're house-trained." "Well, mostly. Sergeant Fluffbottom has accidents sometimes, but he's trying." In the carrier, Sergeant Fluffbottom farted in his sleep. A small puff of greenish vapor escaped. Vexthal took 3 steps backward. His membranes cycled to purple. Extreme concern. "That's toxic," he said flatly. "That's natural." Mallory waved a hand. "All babies are gassy." That vapor contains sulfuric compounds that can corrode metal. I mean, it smells bad, but corrode metal seems dramatic. As if to prove a point, the carrier's metal latch began to smoke slightly where the vapor had touched it. The edge blackened. Mallory squinted at it. Huh. That's new. Kaylin's membranes had progressed beyond color into what could only be described as a strobe effect. Instructor Vexthal, Emergency Protocol Alpha 7, evacuate this wing. I want biohazard teams, sedation equipment, and... They don't like strangers, Mallory interrupted. Last time maintenance came by, Buttons hissed. It was actually kind of scary. Well, scary for a baby, like a kitten hiss. A kitten hiss. Yeah, you know. Mallory made a soft pss sound. Like that. Super cute. Kaylin's tail uncurled and slammed